I think that that's really going to dictate what the future of this team looks like over the next few years.
Hey there, I'm Daniel Esteve, and this is So Sports, the show where normally we'd brush through some of the top headlines of the week, then get into the great stories and conversations that celebrate all the great things sports do for our lives. However, this week has honestly been an insane week in the news department, specifically in and around DFW sports. So let's get into all of that. Beginning with the Dallas Stars, a first-round exit was not in the cards. Losing 3 straight to the Minnesota Wild, not in the cards. But offseason is here nonetheless. And General Manager Jim Neal has some decisions to make. Perhaps the headliner, do you pay Jason Robertson? Do you sign and deal him? Do you let him go? It was a statement season for Robo, among the most productive in the playoffs, while leading the team in points during the regular season with 96. There's also the looming question of what all-time Stars legend Jamie Benn will do after signing a 1-year deal last season. Will he run it back one more time? We'll, of course, break down all of those questions and more on this week's edition of the So Sports Sit Down with Dallas Morning News beat writer Leah Assimakopoulos later in the show. Then there are the Dallas Mavericks. One of their biggest questions of the offseason has been answered, and that is who will be the permanent successor to the now infamous Nico Harrison. And that is former Toronto Raptors exec Masai Ujiri. That is your answer. Named as the next Dallas Mavericks president and alternate governor. Tasked with building a roster that can contend for championships for years to come. Part of that process will include answering tough questions, including answering for some of the decisions his predecessor has made. And boy, did he have a highlight moment right off the jump.
Luka is a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, and that's the past. I always say in Africa, we say, when kings go, kings come, and a king went, and we have a little prince here that we're going to turn into a king.
Cool, calm, composed. That, coupled with the fact he brought a championship to Toronto, should speak volumes at how strong a hire this feels for the Dallas Mavericks. But time will tell. The good news is he's got his prince in Cooper Flagg, a prince that already took his first step toward becoming a king when he was named Rookie of the Year.
It's something that, all rookies come into the year fighting for, competing for, and that's they're trying to put their best foot forward, for this award. So I think, just the recognition means a lot to me.
And he really can do no wrong. Flagg found himself back in the spotlight not long after accepting his NBA honor, getting behind the wheel of the official pace car ahead of the Wurth 400 NASCAR Cup Series race at Texas Motor Speedway. Now, most celebs, they just ride shotgun. But Flagg went above and beyond, showing up early, getting cleared to drive, and leading a field of professional drivers for a couple warm-up laps ahead of the green flag. A great moment for Cooper Flagg. Now all eyes turn to the NBA lottery this Sunday. In case you're wondering, the Mavs have a 6.7% chance at that top pick. I'll tell you what, stranger things have happened. Now, since we were talking NASCAR, the weekend was much more than just Cooper Flagg and a pace car. Fans sold out Texas Motor Speedway for the big race on Sunday. And though the drivers are on the main stage, the weekend really feels like more of a festival with countless entertainment for all kinds of fans.
We got going pretty fast. I think half the ride I was more scared of what was going on. I've never been in a car going that fast, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope they enjoyed it. It was fun from my seat. Had a late race caution, which I'm sure everybody loved, and just glad it worked out.
We are so grateful for all the fans that have come. So we had fans that bought tickets in all 50 states of the United States, District of Columbia, 15 countries internationally. We have people flying in from Australia, Japan, Europe, South America. So we work for the fans. We're so blessed that they came and spent their time to come here. And the crowd showed us today. It's the biggest crowd since 2013.
For all you motorsport fans, this is a must-watch too. NASCAR is great, but you can't sleep on other types of motorsport. And consider this my pitch for you to check out NHRA drag racing.
No such problems with the Coletta air machine.
No.
Here we go.
Nice pull here and shot. 345 miles an hour. There it is. The fastest speed in the history of drag racing, 372.4, 345 on the scoreboard. You're the first human beings on the planet to see it.
That is two-time NHRA world champion Sean Langdon driving 345 miles per hour. 345. It is as impressive as it is terrifying. Watching a rocket blast off right in front of you, it really is an experience you can feel. Just make sure you're wearing earplugs if you ever get out there for an event. You could probably argue the same could be said for Major League Volleyball. The championships are being held in Frisco this weekend. The championship is just about wrapping up, but regardless of who wins, the season has marked a huge win for not just the league, but the sport.
We're going from 8 to 12 teams next season, which is, I couldn't have imagined, coming in the middle of a season, where the growth was going to be. So we have 5 new teams. San Diego is leaving the league, but we have 5 new teams coming in. I can speak to 3 of them. That's in Minnesota, Northern California, and Washington, D.C. I have to keep fans guessing where those other 2 teams are coming next season, but will be announced very soon. So we're just thrilled.
My goal in every episode is to start from a place of respect.
The Hill Sunday with Chris Steiler.
Sunday at 9 on CW33.
Paid for by Stanley and Associates.
Hi everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, there are agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. I'm Gina Bellich here with spokesman Tom Mustin. So Tom, tell the folks at home who should call right now.
Well, Gina, it's like you just said. Anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault should call right now. Staff are on hand to answer your questions, and they'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. Call now.
After your car or truck wreck, you see lots of ads about auto injuries, but they don't offer a solution to your injuries and your pain. At Accident and Injury Chiropractic, the home of auto injury health, your injuries and your pain are our top priority. That's why Accident and Injury is always my first call. I know and trust them so much, I recommend them to my best friends and family. You can trust them too. For no upfront cost and free transportation, call now. See them today.
Paid for by Stanley and Associates.
Hi folks, welcome back. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, there are agents available right now to answer your questions and let you know how much your case is potentially worth. Tom, remind everyone at home who should call in right now.
Well, Gina, if you or anyone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, call right now. And like Gina said, staff are on hand to let you know if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. Call now.
Cool, we're recording live. Awesome. I'm a kid in a candy store right here.
Go move! Chaz Glada has always felt that way on a basketball court.
Good work, girl. People who really put their all into it, it's like, I want my own court.
And to have his own?
Sometimes it feels like a dream.
A dream he's had for a long time.
I wanted to go to Division I. I wanted to go to the NBA. It was a thing that was supposed to happen. Like, I worked like that was what I did, what I was supposed to do.
That work ethic led to a historic high school career at Fort Zumwalt North High School outside St. Louis, Missouri. Then, a decorated collegiate career. And finally,
as soon as I got done playing college ball, the opportunity didn't fall in my lap.
2 years of not much strength coaching before finally the Colombian Professional Basketball League came calling.
When I got that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna document this.
And he did, capturing a Rookie of the Year campaign post-COVID and a new hobby.
I was just fascinated with cameras.
A hobby that came in handy when it was time to come home.
But like I'd have times where I'd rent a gym and I didn't have anybody show up.
A slow start to a new basketball training business.
At first I was like, well, I'm just gonna like, shoot around and get a workout in. And then it turned into like, you know what? I'm like, why don't I just start like shooting content?
And that he did.
If you go back and look at my content, there's all these videos that are like 2,000 views, 3,000, 6,000, 5,000 views, right? And then all of a sudden there's like a 40,000 and then a 8 million view video.
A format that became synonymous with social media hoops fans everywhere.
And so it was just branding at that point.
A brand that has attracted millions of views, built on principles Chaz teaches his athletes.
You gotta show up every day, you gotta work hard, you gotta be consistent, you gotta do the same thing over.
Repetition that will have you living like a kid in a candy shop.
This is mine.
His own gym. And the founder of CG Hoops.
I've had this kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like when I take a risk, it's worked. When I take a risk, it's worked.
Including his latest venture, hosting youth basketball camps.
I was expecting 20 kids, and we got 50 kids in less than 4 days. And I was like, yo, and I think we're sold out of this next one that's happening in 2 weeks.
It wasn't exactly the plan.
All right.
But what's a basketball dream
Got it.
without a bit of a crossover?
Let's go.
Leah Assimakopoulos, the Dallas Morning News beat writer, splits time between the Stars and SMU, but we're going to stick to the ice in this week's So Sports Sit Down, just after the break.
We're here for those who build America. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you should pay what we pay.
Reliant is the home of free electricity, so your home can be the home of endless possibilities. With the Flex Your Credits plan, your 2 highest use days are free every week automatically. And with $200 in billed credits, your dreams are closer than you think. It's the plan that puts the possible in possibilities. Oops. Flex Your Credits from Reliant. That's power your way.
This is what you can expect right here on Real Life. The gospel, unfiltered, truthful, honest, and can I put it this way? Even raw. Christ has the answers for you, and they're found in his Bible. That is developing a worldview. That's what we call it, a biblical worldview, because God's got the answers, and God has shown us the way, and that way is Jesus Christ. He has a plan for your life personally. We would love to have you join us right here on Real Life.
This is NXT on the CW.
Tuesday at 7 on CW33.
For over 40 years, Domingo Garcia has fought for Texans. When an accident shatters your world,
don't let those crooked insurance companies take advantage of you.
get an attorney who is a legend. Trusted, experienced, with a reputation built on record-breaking verdicts and settlements, with offices all over Texas.
I'm Domingo Garcia, and I'm fighting for you and your family.
Demand a legend. Demand Domingo. The offices of Domingo Garcia. Tejano tough.
I love helping people, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. The medical field has so much opportunity. I chose the College of Healthcare Professions. CHCP was founded by doctors. They have over 40,000 graduates. It's quality training with real-world technology and equipment, with online and on-campus classes. Some meet just 1 day a week. In as little as 9 months, I got the skills to become a part of this team. You can too. Visit chcp.edu today for the career of your life.
We're here for those who build America. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you should pay what we pay.
If you follow the Dallas Stars, chances are you are following Leah Assimakopoulos. Few have matched the day-to-day coverage Leah's provided all season long. And though the season's over, the work really feels like it's just begun. One of the biggest questions is you have a longer offseason than you're used to. What are you going to do with all that time?
It seems like, the focus is this group feels like they have the pieces to win a Stanley Cup. They just didn't put those pieces together this year. It's maybe changing some systems. Glenn Gulutzan talked about changing some systems in the neutral zone and what that could look like for the coaching staff moving forward, but also just kind of hoping for better luck than what they had this year in terms of injuries and getting guys rested and recovered. And of course, some personnel changes are probably going to need to happen too with free agency, and we see who comes back, who doesn't. So yeah, a lot to think about this offseason.
I thought our neutral zone was always an issue that we talked about that I never spoke to you guys about at all probably this year.
We talk about Glenn Gulutzan in his first season coming back with the Dallas Stars. His future is very much still with the Dallas Stars.
Absolutely. I think that there's no question that, and last year there were a lot of questions. Do the Stars bring back Pete DeBoer for another year? Do they go out and get another coach? They obviously did do that. I think there was more uncertainty last year than there is this year. I think that Glenn Gulutzan had an outstanding first season as a head coach returning to Dallas. I mean, he hasn't been a head coach in close to a decade, and he led this team to 112 points in the regular season. Yes, still has something to prove in the playoffs, has not won a playoff series in his career, and unfortunately for him, that is kind of what it comes down to here. This is a team where it's cup or bust, and if you don't win in the playoffs, that's what everyone's going to remember. But I don't think that this is an organization that makes impulsive decisions for reasons like that. I think that everyone in the locker room, Jim Nill, all feel like he overachieved in the regular season in his first year, maybe underachieved in the playoffs, but you don't just fire a coach after that, and that would not be a good track record for this organization either, to just be a revolving door of coaches. I don't expect that to happen at all.
Well, obviously it ended way sooner than we wanted to, so obviously we'll take, now we have extra time to take to the next step shortly.
When you think about a fastball that's been coming our way for a couple seasons now, it's Robo's contract, and we finally come to that point where the questions are going to him at the podium. And you can read a lot into body language when you look at him respond to questions related to his future with the Dallas Stars. We don't want to read too much into those. But just in how big an offseason this is for a young player who is obviously playing at a very high level, what do you expect in the coming weeks and months leading into the next season with his situation in particular?
Yeah, that's the biggest question for them this offseason is what do they do and how much money is he going to make and can they keep him? And yes, reading his body language today, I felt it was very non-committal. And of course, he probably wants to come back, but on his terms and getting the deal that he wants. And that's a question that has to be worked out between his agent and Jim Nill. And I mean, the Stars, if they're going to want to keep him, they're going to have to pay him $12 million range, similar to what they're paying Mikko Rantanen. And the question is, can they fit that in their cap? He has earned every penny of that in his season. He led the team in goals this year. He scored on almost every playoff game this year, kind of put to bed some chatter around him and his inability to produce in the playoffs. That was not at all the case this year. So I think that the Stars should pay him and should make it a priority to keep him. One thing he did mention is he got a new agent this offseason or during the season, and that agent is also, I believe, Wyatt Johnston's agent, Thomas Harley's agent, Mikko Rantanen's agent, so has a lot of history of negotiating with Jim Nill and making deals work. So I guess Stars fans can hope that the same is true for Jason Robertson, but yeah, that's the big question mark, and I think we'll know more probably late this summer.
The antennas always tend to go up when you hear new agent. It's, oh my goodness, we're in a new territory. They're getting new voices. A lot of conversations to be had there. He seems like he has confidence in his new agent, and given that prior relationship, you hope that it'll pay dividends moving forward.
You only have a real chance to win the cup so many times. So like, we gotta realize that, and really their sense of urgency, I think, needs to be elevated.
The window, though, is a huge question with the Dallas Stars. They were talking about 4-year windows moving forward. It's difficult, at least for me, to imagine that runway is what you have with any team. Do you believe that they still have that much time, or does the sense of urgency, like Jake Ottinger put it, need to be there a bit more?
I think the sense of urgency does need to be there. Jake Ottinger, put it very well when he talked about when Joe Pavelski was on this team, and Joe Pavelski kind of mentioned to him, you have very finite amount of time to win a Stanley Cup in what is going to be a long career, and you have to capitalize when that opportunity is there. And it feels like that opportunity is open right now for this team. And it's probably weird for some players like Wyatt Johnston, who are, 22, 23 years old in the early stages of their career, someone telling you have to win now, otherwise the opportunity's gone. But that's just kind of the reality for this team. And, players like Jamie Benn and Matt Duchene, who have fought a career to try to win a Stanley Cup and are on the tail end of their careers, understand, like, this is the team. These are the teams that you need to win with.
I'm going to take some time, just to relax, and we'll see.
Fans, players, staff, they'll probably all agree that you need to find a way because you want to win, but you need to find a way to win one for Jamie Benn.
Yeah, I think that it's a tough choice, and he comes back for this year hoping to win a Stanley Cup and is now further from winning a Stanley Cup than he was a year ago, and he's going to be 37 this summer. Like that, he's definitely reaching the end of his career, and I think it's a similar model to what Joe Pavelski followed. He signed 2 one-year contracts before he retired, so maybe Jamie Benn, this is his second, maybe he signed, this past one was his first, he could sign one more, maybe we'll see. Yeah, a lot of it's going to come down to, does he feel like he can do it, and does he feel like he's holding the team back? I think that was a big question in the playoffs. Like the regular season, the last few regular seasons, even with injuries and everything, he's contributed at a great pace and exactly what they need for kind of a middle six kind of forward depth guy. But in the playoffs, he's taken a lot of really costly penalties. He's, put the team in some tough positions there. Obviously, no one in the locker room is going to say he's nothing but a necessary leader for this group, and it'll be interesting to see how a team moves forward without Jamie Benn if he does choose to retire. But I think it's going to be some tough conversations, and whether he's a part of that equation is something we're going to find out probably by July 1st.
If you need any other reason to know that Leah is one of the top tier journalists you will ever see, it's connecting all these incredible dots. You have Jamie Benn's first contract. We've seen it happen with the second. We have, of course, Robo's new agent and the commonalities we see throughout the team. These are connecting the dots. This is journalism at its finest. Will this be the most intriguing for you as a journalist and for Dallas Stars fans, seeing how everything plays out?
I think so. I think that the message the last few summers has just been, keep the group together, run it back, let's do it again. But it's kind of hard to have that message. And I think that a lot of fans are going to have a problem if that is the mentality this summer, because obviously there was a step back taken. So you need to do something to change. Like you got to think they're going to do something. Maybe the priority is really just locking down Jason Robertson, and that's the big move of the summer. And if they can't, maybe it's signing him to a qualifying offer, a one-year deal, and working on a trade to get some massive return for him. I think that that's really going to dictate what the future of this team looks like over the next few years. But yeah, it's a different offseason, and you can't just say, oh, we're knocking on the door, we're right here. That's what it was the last 3 years. Now you have to change something to get back to just be knocking on that door again. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jim Nill and what some of the players with some decisions to make decide to do here.
Follow Leah at LASSIMAK across social media. She will have the latest news as it breaks all off season long and into the fall. As I mentioned, she also covers college sports for the Dallas Morning News. SMU could be due for another exciting football season this fall, but we'll save that conversation for another time. For now, we'll wrap up with a few reasons to smile when So Sports continues just after this.
Fun doing the impossible, and tonight we're making history.
We believe in bringing joy, bringing fun every single day.
The Banana Ball Championship League is off and running in epic style. Is it the dancing? Is it the singing? What is it? I'm playing out of my mind right now. This is Banana Ball, baby.
This Sunday, watch as the Savannah Bananas take on the Party Animals live from Truist Park in Atlanta.
Unreal athleticism.
The Savannah Bananas versus the Party Animals.
Sunday at 1:30 on CW33.
At Stanton, you get the best value. 2 pairs for just $79. A free eye exam, anti-glare made same day.
That's value you can actually see.
Smart, simple, Stanton.
It's easier than ever to shop, save, and style your home at NFM.com. Explore our huge selection of furniture, electronics, appliances, and more. Get your order your way with delivery, shipping, and drive-through pickup options. NFM.com makes shopping easy, anytime, anywhere.
Whether it's new, pre-owned, or a lease, the experience has been the same. Whether it's service, whether it's finance, whether it's going in on a Friday afternoon for the car wash that I do almost every Friday, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's at least a 12. So it's just a terrific experience. They truly kill you with kindness. I will be a Sewell customer for life.
Experience the Sewell difference for yourself today at Sewell.com.
Not yourself without football? Get your Dallas Bulls tickets now and experience nonstop arena football action at the historic Fair Park Coliseum. Tickets to all games are on sale now at dallasbulls.com/tickets. Run with the Bulls.
Dr. Quevedo, what is the most important thing to do after a car or truck wreck?
Immediately after a car or truck wreck, you need to call accident injury. We'll pick you up, bring you to the nearest clinic, and thoroughly evaluate and diagnose your injuries. Then we create a treatment plan created just for you. By law, you choose who treats you after a car or truck wreck. But it is critical we check you out as soon as possible.
Thank you, doctor. Call or come in to get the auto injury help you need today.
At Stanton, we sell great frames. All sorts of frames. Over 1,000 frames, starting at just $79.
I saved money, and I see great.
Smart, simple, Stanton.
Spokespersons for Thompson Law.
When you get hurt in a car wreck, who do you think of?
You think of the lion.
No one ever thinks they'll need a lawyer until they do. I want you to think of the lion. Car wreck?
Think of Ryan the Lion Thompson.
Hey, welcome back to So Sports. I'm Daniel Esteve. Now, normally we'd address some hot, controversial topic with the weekly Metroplex Minute, but to make it brief, well, the Mavs, they made a great hire. The Stars need to keep Robo unless they can get a huge return for him. And I'm sentimental, and I think Jamie Benn needs to come back for one more year. Simple and to the point. Why? Well, this week we had not one but a few submissions for a reason to smile. And to be honest, that made me smile. So I decided we needed to include all of them because this is what sports are all about. Even when things don't look good on the court, the field, or in this case, the ice, there are plenty of reasons to smile, and the Dallas Stars Foundation gave us a big one. They spent time down at Barron Elementary. 344 students received 3 books of their choosing, led by Mr. Victor E. Green himself, the hostess with the mostest, the mascot that does it all. And to take it a step further, any late fees were on the house. The foundation donated $15,000 to the school. It was a special visit from a team that always gives back to its community. And speaking of community, well, Community ISD solidified the fact that there is nothing better than a homecoming. Jeremy Connor spent a year away with the Coast Guard overseas, and when it was time to come home, well, he wanted to do it big, surprising his son Cal, a baseball player on the community high baseball team, while both were still in uniform. Now that he's back home, Jeremy will resume his role as a construction teacher at the high school. As special as that moment was, just having Dad around day in and day out will certainly be even more special. I just can't get enough of those stories. If you have some to share, reach out on social media at Daniel J. Esteve or shoot me an email at daniel.esteve@cw33.com. But that's my time for now. For my friends Melvin Bullock and Craig Myers and all of us here at CW33, I'm Daniel Esteve, reminding you to smile often, and we'll see you next time.